I would like to submit to the listener today that marriage is a selfless institution, and more often than not, selfish people enter into that institution. And my friends, that is a recipe for disaster. You're now listening to the No Pillz podcast, your best resource for cultivating meaningful, healthy, long-lasting, romantic relationships that bloom into strong marriages. My name is Gordon McGee, speaker and evangelist for Go Stand and Preach, and I'm sitting down with my Bible, people like yourself, and relationship professionals to discuss what are the best practices to obtain and maintain, you guessed it, love in this modern dating marketplace. I promise you that taking a blue or a red pill is not the answer. Welcome to No Pillz. Welcome to No Pillz. We back. Your man, G-man, God's man. Why get married, friends? Why get married? Should we get married? This is the question we want to tackle today. I want to begin by looking at some of the arguments from the male perspective as to why the modern man does not want to get married or is adverse to getting married or has concerns about getting married. The first being financial suicide. The modern man feels that marriage today is financial suicide. Divorces are 50%. 80% of those divorces are filed by women. And if that woman is college educated, that percentage goes up to 90%. Prenups cannot save you. Even if you have a cheating wife, you may end up still paying alimony. Brothers are not having it. They're like, this is financial suicide. The next concern that you will find that the modern man has about getting married today is the fear of entering into a sexless marriage. Everything is good and cozy before we say I do, and then no sooner than we go across the threshold of the door of our new home, the sex just stops and the wife lets herself go. And here you are trapped, stuck in this sexless marriage. The last and final thought is government involvement, or the fact that they do not want the government to be involved in their relationships, in their romantic life, especially when that government is rewarding the person who breaks the contract with the alimony, with the kids, with the dog, with the house. So men are just not having it. They are fed up. Actually, for any man out there who has this thought and wants to completely steer clear of any government involvement in their relationships, you've got to be careful, because based upon what state you're in, if you even live with a woman and especially have kids with her, you could not be married but still be on the hook as if you are married. So just FYI to all those gentlemen out there who are pro, hey, no government, but yet you're living with a woman, you have a child by a woman, and you're still going to be potentially caught up in the same type of strife and concerns and muddy waters that you were trying to avoid. Now, listen, what is the point of being with a woman if you cannot live with her and have children with her? Like, at this point, you're just fornicating. That's not even a relationship. We're like, it's like a sleepover. Man, you get what I'm saying? I get it. You don't want the government involved in your marriage. And I'll say this, these thoughts and concerns don't necessarily reflect my thoughts and my thinking, but I believe that government should be completely uninvolved in marriages. And this should be a work of church organizations, church institutions. I don't believe the government should be involved. I understand why they are in many cases and for many reasons, but just my 2 cents. Okay, so why are modern women today not willing to get married or are a little adverse to getting married as well? Why are they kind of thinking, I don't know if that's for me. Is that really for me? Not sure. And listen, traditionally speaking, in the history of the world, there's always been this narrative or kind of common understanding that a woman wants to get married. What is going on in today's society that even women now are rethinking? Well, I went over and found this article on at the University of Ohio, and I think they summarized, encapsulated the woman's concern, the modern woman's concern for marriage with these words. It says the researchers identified several reasons why more and more women are choosing not to get married, including infidelity, increasing career opportunities, independence, a desire for independence, finding it more secure to live with their parents and siblings. I think this is spot on. And as I was looking at this information, it led me to my next question. I was saying, well, I wonder what's the most common reason for divorce, right? If everyone is like, hey, I don't want to get divorced. I don't want to get married because I don't want to get divorced, or divorce is right, around the corner in a marriage. Then I wondered, well, what are the leading causes for divorce? So I found the top 3 reasons why people are getting divorced, looking at some divorce statistics. First reason, lack of commitment is the most common reason for divorce. Just simply lack of commitment. And I think I can attest to this from an interesting perspective. Many of you may know that I was married for almost 20 years and lost my wife to cancer. She was 37 years old when she passed. And I remember us having a few discussions about the fact that we were at our wedding lying to each other. And here's what I mean. We were saying, I love you, I love you. We had no idea what that meant. We got married at 22 and 20. I was 22, she was 20 years old. We didn't know what we were saying, man. We were lying to each other. I think a lot of people enter into marriage without a full grasp and understanding of the level of commitment that is required. So it doesn't shock me to see lack of commitment being the number one reason why people get divorced. The second reason, infidelity. That one's straightforward. Yeah, who wants to stick around being cheated on? Infidelity, second reason people get divorced. And the third, domestic abuse. I want to take this moment just to speak to those who are of the conviction that, hey, there's only one reason to get divorced, and that's for infidelity, and you're in an abusive relationship. Here is what I want to recommend to you. You need to separate from that person. I'm not saying get divorced. I'm not saying get legally divorced on paper. I'm saying you need to be out of the same household with them. You need to get from underneath the same roof if you are in an abusive relationship. And then if they're willing, the abuser is willing to get the counseling and help that you both need, and especially that they need, so they can repent and turn from being an abuser. And here's what I think is going to happen in that situation. If you separate, and let's say that the abuser, the spouse that's the abuser, is unwilling to work on it, they will eventually step out on you. They will eventually move on. And then that will free you from the marital vows and covenant. But abuse, friends, I don't believe we serve a God who desires his children to be living in abusive marriages. What sex cheats more was my next question. Like, okay, wait. All right, infidelity is an issue. Abuse is an issue. Lack of commitment is an issue. But I wonder, out of the two sexes, who cheats more? I already know what you guys are thinking. So the Institute for Family Studies and a general social survey is where this information is coming from. In general, men are more likely than women to cheat. 20% of men and 13% of women reported that they had sex with someone other than their spouses while married. But 18 to 29-year-olds, okay? 18 to 29-year-olds. Those are my Gen Zs. Women are slightly more likely than men to be guilty of infidelity at the ages of 18 to 29. So all my Gen Z brothers, watch out. It's not by much though, 11% versus 10%, but nevertheless, more likely. Women in their 60s report the highest rate of infidelity at 16%. And then infidelity rates among men in their 70s is the highest at 26%. Okay, so with all this data in front of us, looking at the landscape, we've looked at the reasons that to not get married. We've looked at some of the data as to what are the causes or leading causes for divorce. So do modern men and do modern women have a point? Are they validated in saying do not get married? Do they have a leg to stand on when you're hearing people online saying, no, I don't want to get married. I'm not getting married. I would say this. Don't get married to the wrong person. If we want to counteract, for example, the top 3 reasons that people are getting divorced, here's what we need to do. 1, you must marry someone who is dedicated to their union and is serious about making it work, making it last, and keeping their vows. That's the first thing you got to do. Second thing you got to do, you've got to find someone that's going to keep their legs closed and keep their penis in their pants. Yep. That's number 2. You got to. Number 3 thing, you must avoid marrying an abuser. Now, here's a pro tip. I want to submit to you that you should not marry any person who is taking any type of substance that is altering their mental state, that is altering their mind. I don't care if it's 1 glass of wine, marijuana, whatever. If a person is a prescription drug, if they are on some type of anything that is altering their mental state, I would not marry that person. That is just a disaster waiting to happen. Pro tip, take it or leave it, up to you. Now, after losing my wife, I have not yet gone on to remarry. I don't even know if that is in my future. But if I had to consider this, there's some criteria that I would use that you may find valuable to you. So I'm going to share it with you. The first thing that I would do, I would ask God to find my spouse for me. Because here's the thing, friends. You don't know what's going on inside a person's mind and heart, but God does. That's it. Like I'm asking God, find me my spouse. You can read the heart. I wouldn't want to make that decision on my own, okay, or by myself. I'm asking God. Now, how would I know that God has actually brought me a spouse? There'd be a few things that I could look at. Compatibility. We would be compatible. We would get along. We would enjoy each other's company. We would be able to laugh, joke, smile, have a good time together. We would be equally yoked, meaning we would have the same religious convictions about this life and the next life. We would be on the same page spiritually. I would be sure that the marriage would benefit both she and I in regards to eternity. What do I mean? That by us coming together, we are going to encourage one another to go to heaven, or there's no reason for us to be married. I'm not going to marry a non-believer, right? I'm going to marry someone with the same convictions as me and that this marriage, this union is evidence to me that we are both encouraging each other to be saved. The third thing I would be looking for, that we would be a team, that we would be a powerhouse for God. And what I mean by that is that our marriage would be a tool in the master's hand to expand his kingdom. Now, those are the things that I'm using. And I know I can hear it already like, God. Yes, friends, God. You don't know the human heart. People can lie to you. You cannot. Look, I have friends that have married people and didn't know that they were a drug addict until later. But they didn't seek out God. They entered into that union, that relationship of their own accord, of their own power. And that individual was hiding who they were, their character and everything. But when you get God involved, all that can be revealed to you. And I can still hear the buts. But how many people, Brother Gordon, who went into a marriage with every intention to stay together, but they still got divorced? I can hear that right now. I can hear you in the back. Oh, but what about those people? Friends, I want to remind you, there's another side to that coin. Not everyone gets divorced. Right? There's 50% of the population, of the married population, who don't get divorced. You can be in that side of the population. You can be in that group. You don't have to be in the divorce group, the divorcee group. So if you're asking God, if you're not in a rush, you're slowing down, you can be in the group that does not get divorced. So that argument to me is slightly flawed because not everyone gets divorced. But what about Jeff Bezos? Isn't that evidence of how a high earning man can be taken advantage of and be thrown? Listen, taken to the cleaners. Jeff cheated, friends. To all my brothers that's using that as citing that as some type of valid example. No, Jeff broke the marriage covenant and entered into that covenant knowing what he was getting himself involved in. So I don't know about that. But what about the sexless marriage that what about that, brother? There could still be a sexless marriage. Listen, I don't know any marriage where there is respect and trust, where there's no sexual intimacy. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Where there is trust and respect, I assure you, your wife will be all over you where there is trust and respect. A lot of times what happens is there's no trust or there's no respect in that marriage, and that's why it's a sexless marriage. Just saying. Now, I have an extra thought here that I want to give you, a little extra note. We don't have realistic expectations today. And let me give you an example of what I'm saying. We are in non-traditional marriages, but unwilling to recognize that we're going to be in non-traditional roles. If you're in a non-traditional marriage, you should expect to be in non-traditional roles. For example, if you both work, okay, if you both work outside of the home, the husband and the wife, and you're both doing 40 plus hours a week, when you come home, you're going to be splitting some of those household duties that are going on inside the home. Yes, men, cooking, cleaning. You're not in a traditional relationship, so you shouldn't expect traditional roles. Now, if you are in a traditional relationship and your wife is able to stay home all day, cook and clean, and you're working provider, the sole provider, the breadwinner, then that's a different scenario. But I think it's unrealistic for us as men in particular to require of our women, hey, you're going to go work full-time job and then come home and do all the traditional roles of a woman, and we're not going to split any of those tasks. I think that's unreasonable, and it's not practical at all. Why do people even get married? This is something that we need to talk about, because I think even a good percentage of the problem when it comes to divorces is the reason why people are even getting married. Some people are just getting married for the wedding. Some people are just getting married for the cake. Some people are just getting married for the ice sculptured swans. The ice sculptured swans. There we go. Tongue twister. Some of us are just getting married for the ring. From the pressure from friends and family. Pressure from friends and family. All right. We've had children. So now we need to get married. None of these reasons are good reasons. And to be honest, it's a recipe for disaster. I would like to submit to the listener today that marriage is a selfless institution, and more often than not, selfish people enter into that institution. And my friends, that is a recipe for disaster. Why get married? I'm going to give you a few reasons to get married. The first being, God said that it is not good that man should be alone. He said that in perfection. There is woven into the fabric of your nature a desire to be with a person of the opposite sex, to be one flesh with one person. You're fighting against your nature. Now, mind you, there are some outliers. There are individuals who have received the gift of celibacy, the gift to be alone and to be single, and they'll be just fine and fulfilled in their singleness. But I believe the majority of humanity, they have a desire from God to be married. Now, here's an extra bonus. No STDs. Just want to throw that in there. No sexually transmitted diseases in a faithful, monogamous marriage relationship. You're cruising in freedom, experiencing love free from disease. You can say amen to that. You can say way to go. You can say yes. You can say I can agree. You can say get some. Give me some of that. Yes, beloved. Keep the cooties to yourself. Amen. And the last thing I'll share with you, as far as a reason why to get married, you have a life partner, and some of you may not really understand the benefits, the joys, and what I'm saying when I say you have a life partner. You have someone to go through all your ups and all your downs with. Okay, a real spouse. And, my wife, the last 18 months of her life, we battled cancer together. I was by her side. We were together. And I think about that now and say, man, what a privilege, an honor it was for me to go through that with her, to be there by her side, and how no one should have to fight cancer alone. No one should have to go through any disease, trial, trauma alone. You have a life partner to pray with you, to pray for you, to stand by your side, to be with you in sickness and health, for better or worse, for rich or for poor. This is a blessing, friends. Friends, I'm Gordon McGee. This is No Pillz. I'm signing off, and I'll catch you next week.